want to talk about this comment. This is what I assume is a man, goes by the name of Brent. He's having a conversation with somebody else in the comment section of one of my videos. And I wanted to pluck out this specific comment because I wanted to talk about the wording in this comment, because I think this is one of the big problems that we have when it comes to the A-B issue. So let's look at the comment. Okay, fair point, but you are missing the fact that most women who use abortions is due to their poor decisions. They shouldn't take it out on the unborn. Can we agree on that? Now, there's a whole nother conversation to be had about whether they're taking it out on the unborn, whether the unborn has rights, so forth and so on. The wording that I want to focus on in this comment is when you called it their poor decisions. It's their poor decisions. My initial question to you would be, did they get pregnant alone? Now, you're talking about the women who had consensual intercourse and became pregnant and no longer wish to become pregnant. And we're going to talk about some other issues in just a moment. But did those women get pregnant alone? No, they didn't. Right? It took two people. But for some reason, it's only the woman's poor decision. And you know what, to a degree, I'm going to agree with you in one way, shape, or form, right? I'm going to agree with you that some of these women made poor decisions by getting involved with assholes who are going to run on them at the first sign that they're pregnant. Having said that, let's get into a couple of other cases briefly and then circle back to this. What about a minor who's the victim of incest? Was it that child's poor decision, or should that child be given the option of terminating their pregnancy? What about somebody who's the victim of assault, rape? Should they be given the option to terminate their pregnancy, or do you view that as their poor decision? What about a woman who took the precautions to not become pregnant, used contraception, but the contraception failed? They knew they didn't want to be pregnant. Excuse me, sometimes you get an itch. They knew they didn't want to be pregnant, so they took the necessary precautions, but the precautions failed them. Their decision was to be safe, to take the steps needed. So surely you don't view that as a poor decision. Should they be given the option to terminate their pregnancies? What about a woman who's in a consensual relationship and believes that she has a long-term partner, and the two of them engage in consensual intercourse? She becomes pregnant, and she believes, initially anyway, that they're going to do this together, and the guy's in it and in for it, and he's going to be a dad, and they're going to be a couple, and they're going to raise this family. And then he decides, you know what, I'm out, man. I don't want this. And then he bolts. So she became pregnant and celebrated said pregnancy with her partner, thinking it was going to be the two of them. But now he's gone. Should she be given the option, or is that her poor decision? Just something to chew on with all of the other instances that occur as well, or many of the other instances that occur. Now back to women who are just having consensual intercourse and become pregnant and then want to terminate their pregnancy. Once again, I asked, why is it only her poor decision? Why is the man never responsible for any of this? You see, men like to view themselves as conquerors, right? We're going to conquer this nation. We're going to conquer this region. It's been going on since the dawn of man, right? Men view themselves as conquerors. We're going to take over Germany. We're going to take over Argentina. We're going to take over China. We're going to something of that nature, right? And men view women in the same nature, right? They view themselves as conquerors. The more women they can conquer, the more victories they rack up. But just like the guys who invade the countries, the guys who are out there trying to conquer, quote unquote, as many women as humanly possible, seldom look at the aftermath of their quote unquote conquering. They seldom go, I'm going to take responsibility for what I've done. The guys who invade the nations, they can't be bothered to rebuild the roads, rebuild the schools, rebuild the hospitals, rebuild the villages and the towns. We conquered, it's on to the next conquer. The guys that are out there doing that with women, Same thing. Oh, you became pregnant? That's your poor decision. That's your bad decision making. I shouldn't be held responsible for that. On to the next conquer. You want to hold the woman solely responsible, and you don't want to give the man any bit of the responsibility. Now, listen, at the end of the day, none of this changes the fact that the woman who's pregnant gets to control her own body. We can have this conversation for the next 6.5 hours, and it doesn't change a bit away from the fact that neither you nor I get to have any say in her medical decisions. I'm just having this conversation with you as to determine or to learn why you guys always blame the woman and never blame the man for any of it. And I know I'm going to get a shitload of people that come into the comment section and says, what about a man and a woman who have consensual relations? The woman becomes pregnant. She wants the baby. He doesn't. Sorry, scratch that. Reverse. She doesn't want the baby, but he does. He wants a child, but she says, I don't want to be pregnant. I don't want to have a baby. And she wants to go terminate her pregnancy. Doesn't he have a say in that? No. If he wants a child, then he needs to find a willing partner that is willing to have a child with him. Now, the other way around. What about a woman who says, I want to keep the baby, and the guy says, no, I don't want to be a father, and you are not going to wrangle me into 18 years of child support? Well, there's a fine line there. Should the man be able to bow out? I believe the man should be able to bow out up until a certain point. I don't know what that point is. That should be left up to people much smarter than me. But I think if you're talking about the early stages of discovering you're pregnant and the woman says she wants to keep it and the man says, I don't want anything to do with that, I think that he should be able to sign some type of affidavit, some type of document that says, I'm not responsible. I think there should be some protections for the man as well. But at the end of the day, the man still doesn't get to control the woman's body. The man doesn't get to say, you have to carry that pregnancy to term or you have to terminate that pregnancy. It's not your body. And I'll take it a step further. Other women don't get to say to women, you have to carry that pregnancy to term or you have to terminate that pregnancy. It's not your body. It's not your fucking choice.